Okay, today is the day. Adobe 2022 features have just dropped. I'm heading off to the Global Design Center of Excellence, the GDCE, you probably know it as a designer, and we're going to cover all the new features behind the scenes. And they've let us film, which is pretty crazy. And when we get there, we'll cover all of the features specific to you and me, the graphic designer that does it all. One day it's UX, the next it's graphic, web, motion, video. Okay, we'll cover all of those features, and it's pretty far away. So we're gonna have to do some sort of travel montage. And you know how secretive the GCDE are, so can't tell you exactly where, but anyway, let's get going. Enough of all of that. If you do want to jump along to different specific bits of software, okay, there will be timestamps in the timeline and in the description, so you can jump along. There'll be XD, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, After Effects, Premiere Pro, okay, so you can jump to those. But for now, would you just get started, Dan? Okie dokie. We'll start with Adobe XD. All right, let's jump in. First new feature for XD is bringing in Lottie files. If you haven't used Lottie files before, go to lottiefiles.com. It's a good place to get educated. But the simple version is that it is animation for websites. And while you've been able to do it on websites for a while, only now you can actually bring these animations and see them, create triggers inside of XD. So you download them from lottiefiles.com. I'll show you how to import one. It's very easy. You go to File Import. Okay, so whatever you've downloaded, it's generally a .json file. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my fall autumn. Okay, I'm going to stick it there. I'm going to resize it. And I'm going to preview it. Okay, and there it goes. Animation. Okay, in this case, it plays once and stops. You can change it by clicking on them and saying, actually, my friend, let's loop these guys. All right, and it'll loop forever. Okay, so that's a simple use case. Let's look at something else. Okay, so that one was just looping forever. This particular one here, what I'm going to do is, instead of being in design view, I'm going to go to prototype and I'm going to say, actually, I would like the trigger to be a tap. Okay, so it's only going to play this animation once I've clicked on it. Okay, let's preview it. Where's my little button? You ready? Oh, look at that. The animation makes it. Okay, so quickly, if you've never used Lottie before or don't know how to make it, you've got lots of questions like I had. Again, check out Lottie files. They describe what they're made for. How do you make them? Okay, you can actually edit these within here. That's what I did. So there's a black text. I went inside of it and you can go and say, I would like to edit the layers. You can start messing around with that particular edit. Okay, and here, that's what I did. I changed my colors. Okay, so I had a white outline for my cart. Okay, but if you want to make these from scratch rather than just editing them, you need to switch to Adobe After Effects. Okay, Adobe After Effects has a free plugin, okay, or extension called Body Movin'. Okay, and you can use that to create these files. Okay, and depending if you use pixels or vector, they can be super scalable and work on websites without kind of plugins for browsers. So super fancy. All right, Lottie files in Adobe XD. New, fancy, good. All right, the next new feature for Adobe XD is you can now import videos and they play. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in an MP4. Okay, it's a bit big, but I'm gonna preview it. And ready? If I click it, oh, look at that, videos playing inside of XD. Cool, huh? All right, so by default, you've got to click them. You can change that easily. Over here, you've got a bunch of options. A bunch. You've got some. Okay, you can go to play on tap or just play automatically. Okay, or in this case, there's this little icon here has some good stuff. You can change the poster image, okay, to something else. You can preview it in here. Okay, you can do some trimming. You can decide, actually, I don't need all of that. I just need like this section here. Okay, I can also decide whether it's muted or not. Okay, you can decide if it loops. You get the idea, regular video stuff, but it all works inside of Adobe XD. Now I want mine as a little pop-up. I made a little artboard over here that's kind of the right size. Not quite the right size. That'll do. I made a little triangle in here. I'm going to say you, under prototype mode, I would like you to, on tap, I would like you to go to an overlay of that artboard that I made called pop-up that has a video on it. Okay, and that's it. I've already said to this video be, where is he? Under design, I've already said play automatically. So hopefully, apart from some weird edges, let's go. Let's click on this one. Let's preview it. And where's my little guy? There he is there. Video playing, overlaid. Oh, so good. A couple of things you'll run into as soon as you go and try this on your own is that probably the biggest one is that the file size can't be over 15 megabytes for that video. So my little video here, I had to go into Adobe Media Encoder and get it smaller. It can be any size up to 4K, so nothing bigger. And the other restriction is at the moment, you can only have 20 videos per, per XD file. Ooh, and another thing, it has to be an MP4 or at least an H.264, which is really common. So if you don't know anything about video, you're probably gonna be fine. All right, that is it for video inside of XD. Oh, I love it. Thanks, XD. All right, the last feature for Adobe XD this year is that now when I share, okay, I can go to share, I can create a public link, okay? And this option here now, I'm gonna update it. So design review, anybody link, I've now got Behance. I can go straight to my Behance account and share it with my account. Let's do that. Here it is, it's uploading, and there you go. I've got a mock-up that I can use, and actually it's interactive, and it's part of my account without having to kind of upload it and connect with it with files and links. Oh, works straight in Behance. Beautiful. While you are here, come follow me, Daniel Walter Scott. Follow me if you want to keep up with what I'm up to. And if you are like, hey, you know what? I should really learn Adobe XD. The video that you're kind of seeing here playing over the top is the stuff that we cover in my XD Essentials course. So there'll be a link in the top corner at the moment, or there's a link in the description. Go check out my Adobe XD Essentials course if you're keen. So that is it. Adobe XD, Lottie files, video files, and publishing to Behance directly. All right, next bit of software. All right, next up is the updates for Adobe Photoshop 2022. Hooray! All right, the first new feature I want to show you is the object selection tool, this one here. It's been here a little while. It's amazing if you haven't used it, but they've kind of supercharged it. If I click on it, okay, and can you see these little arrows moving around? That'll happen automatically. And watch what happens. Look, it's kind of isolating it. You had to kind of click and drag randomly. And now though, it gives you a little preview. So I can click once, okay, and it made a selection. I can add a mask. Okay, for some reason we don't need to turn that into, maybe rename the background layer to unlock it. That doesn't need to happen anymore. I'm not even sure when that happened. But regardless, we can make a sweet mask. I'm gonna undo, deselect, let's click on this one. If I need to add to the selection, I can hold down my shift key on my keyboard and just click the second one here. You're like, there you go, got those two. Now I'm gonna add a mask, woohoo. Okay, I'm gonna undo, deselect. Let's say that I want this. This one here is not highlighting, but I can still hold down my shift key to add and just drag a box around the thing. You're like, there you go. Cool. So I've almost got it. It's got this little tab there that I want to get rid of. So to remove from your selection, shift is add, hold down the option key on a Mac or alt key on a PC to remove from the selection. Just drag a box around the thing you don't want. You can be pretty vague. It's pretty amazing. There you go. That is the upgrade to the object selection tool. If you haven't used the object selection tool already, that's even more exciting. All right, next feature. All right, so the next feature is called Illustrator Interop. That's what they're calling it. Anyway, it's the way of working between Illustrator and Photoshop. So let's switch to Illustrator. And we're going to use this polygon tool. Okay, it illustrates what this function pretty well. So I'm going to click, hold, and drag out a shape. Now, before you let go, okay, you can use your up and down arrows to add or remove sides to a polygon. That's not the shortcut, it's just a handy trick. So I'm going to get down to a triangle. I'm going to let go. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into Photoshop. All right, and up until now, if you've done any of my classes, you'll be like, oh, I know, Smart Object is the correct answer. Not anymore. Layers is often better at the moment. Okay, so layers is going to give us this little bit of extra stuff. Let me show you, because there's nothing wrong with smart objects, but if you've used them before, you have to kind of jump back to Illustrator to adjust them, and then back into InDesign. That is going to be solved by layers. So I brought it in. Where is it? There it is there. I'm going to bring it to the top. Okay, and the difference now is it's still vector, which is one of the perks of the smart objects. But if I go to properties panel, can you see all of the goodnesses come through? Look, how many sides? How many sides did I got? Okay, I can still adjust the fill, okay, or the stroke I can remove. Okay, so it's giving me all that control that I used to have to kind of back and forth between Illustrator for. Now we can do it straight in Photoshop. Let me make mine this right height, 300 by 300. And look, we can change the start inset as well. Ooh, look at that, fancy. Actually, go to there. How many sides do I want? 50. Starburst. Okay, I can switch my libraries, pick one of my colors. Man, easy. Okay, so that is interop with Illustrator. I am going to put it in a position, so just because. Now it works great for these simple shapes. I'll show you one other simple shape. Let's say that I draw a rectangle and that I play with the rounded corners, okay, or just click on one of them and adjust one of them. Okay, if I copy and paste this ugly shape into Photoshop, okay, the rounded corners come as long as I use that layers option. Okay, and I can start going this. Are ugly. Okay, but let's have a look under properties, all those rounded corners, I'm hoping under appearance, look at that, all still there. I can adjust them all together, I can unlink them. Here we go. Okay, so some of those kind of primitive shapes have all the controls. What I've been using this for is I want to show you. So actually there's no connection between these now, so I can delete them. I don't need them. It's kind of a one-way street. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my pen tool. I'm going to have a stroke, no fill. I'm just going to draw like a little squiggle that I want to use. There we go. And I'm going to use my width tool just to kind of get it to, there you go, some sort of squiggly thing. Okay. Now I'm going to outline this. I'm going to go to object, go to path, and I'm going to outline the stroke. Because what I want to do is I'm going to copy it and bring it over into Photoshop. Actually, what I might do before I do it is, can you see when I outlined it? It's got lots of curves, okay, or anchor points. These are fine, okay. I really love this tool in Illustrator. This is not new this came out like last year, the upgrade of this, but if you go to simplify, look what happens. Oh, look at that. It's only a couple of passes. You can decide on how simple you want it, okay. I'm going to go to automatic. Kind of smooths it all out and gives you just enough handles to control this like quite a large shape. Okay, anyway, I'm going to copy and paste it into Photoshop. Okay, make sure it is that new layers. Okay, and the cool thing about this is I'm going to switch to my direct selection tool. It's this one here, or the A key. Can you see all the anchor points come along for the ride? Okay, again, I can still color it. I can go to my libraries. I can pick any of the colors from in here. I'm just going to kind of, I don't know, jam it into the bottom here. You wait there. Okay, so I've got it in. I kind of got it where I want it. Okay, but you can still see it's poking out there. But remember, because I've kind of brought it through as this Illustrator interop, or that layers, okay, I can select on it here, grab my direct selection tool, or the A key, and watch this. I can click on this endpoint, and look, fully editable. Oh, beautiful. All right, so that is Illustrator interop with Photoshop. All right, the next feature is an upgrade to gradients. You're like, how do you upgrade a gradient? Well, it's when it starts off looking like that, okay? Green at one side, red at the other. Terrible gradients, I know, but look at this mud in the middle. Up until a few hours ago, okay, when the release went, that's what you had to do. And if you're like me and you've got gradients that you need to fix, you end up adding noise and blurring and all sorts of fun stuff. But, okay, they've done it. That's the kind of like scientific way of doing a gradient, but you end up with this non-beautiful stuff in the middle. What they've done is when you're using the rectangle tool, okay, I'm going to make a new layer here. So rectangle tool, the gradient tool, you can go up here, and the method now, you can use perpetual or linear. I don't know. They are some sort of algorithmic creation thing for gradients. Either of them seem to work beautifully. Okay, but watch this. Ready? Same gradient, but look in the middle there. It's not mud brown. It is beautiful orange green. I use this green and red one because it's the most obvious one, but if you've ever done gradients in Photoshop and had some undesirable results when they mix, okay, just go and pick different methods, either linear or perceptual. And if you're working on a company that uses green and red as its colors, well, that's a real shame. But now you get to do better gradients. Not good gradients, better gradients. All right, next feature. Actually, quickly, before we go on, if you're enjoying the video, I feel like you've got a taste of it now. If you're enjoying it, give it a like. And if you like me or the kind of stuff I do, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate that. All right, now next feature. All right, the next feature is called harmonization. Okay, I want to combine two images. Okay, I'm going to grab bits of this desk and put it into this table here. And the coloring is so different. So let's grab something from here using our sweet new object selection tool. Okay, and I want you, I'm holding shift, remember, grabbing a couple of those. I'm going to drag around all of these. Sometimes it's easier just to drag a box around a bunch of stuff. Just get going. All right, it's done a pretty good job. I'm going to mask it. And then I'm going to, it's missing a bit. Okay, back here, hold shift, grab that chunk too. All right, getting there. All right, add a mask. Okay, and I'm going to bring it to this other document here, dump it on. Okay, and yeah, it's the wrong size. So I'm gonna shrink it down, don't hold shift. Okay, getting it, I don't know, proportionately okay. You need to be able to see what I'm doing. So there you go. It is on the desk, but it's the wrong colors. You can tell it's just this like blue tinge here, and it's got this kind of warm khaki kind of thing going on over here. So what you can do is with your object selected, not the mask, okay, the thing you want colorized, you need to have another layer that you're trying to match to, and then you go to filter, and it's under these sweet new neuro filters. They came out in the last version, and there's a bunch of cool stuff in here. So the next few features are upgrades to this. So it's this one here called harmonization. You might have to click on it, and you might have to click download. Okay, but once it's downloaded, you can turn it on, and to get it going, you need to say, the layer that I've got selected, I would like to match the background for me. Give it a second, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Look at that. It started pulling colors from all in here and matching it up. Look at that. Okay, and you can turn it on and off. Okay, you can decide on the strength. Okay, you can make adjustments here as well. Do you want the saturation up, down, left, right? Or a little bit up. It's just a really great way of trying to match background with foreground. Click OK. And that is harmonization. It's given me a separate layer here. I can turn it on and off. The little hole in my mask there I need to fix. And the shadows really need fixing as well. Let me quickly do that. All right, and that, my friends, is how to overuse the burn tool. If you haven't done burn tools, use the burn tool for shadows. I don't know. It's generally the most believable way if you take your time and not rush through it. But there you go. Before color, after color. Okay, it's called harmonization, and it's one of the new neurofilters. All right, another new but similar neurofilter is being able to switch color from one to the other, because I got these two images and I want to use them in a series, and they're just two distinctly different color. Okay, so I want to get them to match. Before we do anything, I'm going to go to Window Arrange and just kind of set them up vertically. Just if you haven't done that, it's just handy. Two separate documents open. They don't have to be in the same layers stack. Okay, so I'm going to be working on this image here. So I've got it selected. Go back to our same neurofilters. Okay, filter, neurofilters. You'll have to turn it on. It is called color transfer. Turn the little button on. And there's some presets in here. You can say, I want to make it look like this one. And it's pretty cool. And it does a good job matching it. But what I want to use my own custom one, because I want these to be clearly together. So I can say and I can pick from this other image that happens to be open. Okay, and give it a sec and be ready for greatness. Ready? Ooh, the colors are there. The brightness is a bit weird. So I'm going to say preserve the luminance, okay, or the light of the original one. And ready? Gets even better. Oh, so good. Look at preview on, preview off. You can see how now I could use this in a consistent series of images. Oh, color transfer. All right, next feature. All right, before we go on, you might be stuck with two windows open. You're like, help, there's two open. Go back to Window, Arrange, and let's go to Consolidate All Tabs. Okay, so we're going to be working on this one here. Okay, and I'm going to show you this other last neurofilter upgrade. Okay, so filter neuro filters. You don't need anything open, or you can. Okay, but in this case, I want to go to, where is it? Landscape Mixer. Okay, you might have to download it. Okay, it takes a little while to download, but then you can turn it on, and Then you can just change the season. Watch this. Oh my goodness, it's winter time. Watch this, on, off. Wow, it is crazy good. Let's look through a few of them. Oh my goodness, before, after. It's fantastic. I can't believe it. All right, so I'm just gonna switch to custom, and instead of selecting an image like we did before, let's make it more wintry. Before, after, it is wintry, full-blown winter. Wow, on, off. Let's do one more. It's now spring. Summer, spring. Spring with a sunset. One more, last one. It is too good. All right, I love it. There's landscape mixer. Let's get on to something else. Like it's been far too long in here. Okay, this next feature is probably, is it the best? It's not the sexiest of updates, but it's probably the best for me as a practical professional designer. What you're looking at here is the web version of my Photoshop document. Okay, I'm pretending to be the client. The client can add a pin and say, you know what, Dan, here's some useful feedback. They can submit it. It's pinned to the document, which is nice. But for me as the designer, look what I get. Oh my goodness, it's in here and it's marked up in the right place with some great feedback. All right, Adobe's calling it share for commenting, which makes sense. And I don't know, it's amazing. Let me show you how it works. Okay, so to make it work, you need to, the important part, it needs to be a cloud document, the PSD-C. Okay, so if you've been avoiding using cloud documents, now might be a good chance to move over. Okay, so let's say you have got just a normal kind of Photoshop document on your hard drive. You need to go save as, and you need to save it as a cloud document. If you've already said, hey, I don't want to do that, and save your computer, okay, what you can do is you can see this little option here. You can click Save Cloud Documents and it will kind of get it going again. So it needs to be saved in the cloud. I've already done mine. Okay, and then up the top here, you can go to this option that says Share Document. Okay, and you can decide in here. Okay, so when I'm sharing it, I can invite people using their email address, or I can just create a link and copy the link. Just make sure when you are creating the link, in this case, I want commenting, because that's the exciting thing that I like about this. Okay, you can either copy it or email it to them, okay, or send it via socials or Slack using the link. Either way, and this is where that link goes. Okay, so this is what your client or stakeholder sees, and they can comment in here. So they'll need to sign in with an Adobe ID. They can use like Gmail or Facebook or whatever. They don't need a paid account, okay? But I can grab a pin. I'm pretending to be my own boss, okay? And I can go in here and say something really useful. There we go. I can pick my pin color because it's super important. I could submit, and now back in Photoshop, back being Dan the designer, you're like, well, where did it appear? Watch this, go to Window and go to Comments. So this is new. Okay, so click on that and give it a second. And there it is, making more swooshy stuff. Okay, and I can do the regular commenting stuff where I can say, actually, I've resolved this, or maybe I can reply and say, no problem, no problem. More swooshiness coming up. Okay, yeah, we can resolve it to get rid of them. There's some more filtering down here. Okay, we can hide the annotations on the document so we can just read them. And over here under filter comments, we can decide who from, at what time, the different statuses. Oh, very exciting. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but you probably, I don't know, hopefully there'll be a bunch of you out there as well. They worked in larger teams and were like, this is brilliant. Okay, instead of trying to like put, I don't know, I used to put A, B, C's in the corner and you're like, okay, I like the top one. And you've sent a bunch of attachments and you don't know which one's top. This one is a lot more direct and I don't know, clearer for me as the designer and both the other person. So let's make this little change. And the cool thing about it is let's make it more swooshy. You wait there. Is that more swooshy? Anyway, I've done it and I can save this, and because it's saved in the cloud, okay, what will happen in the link version, there you go, the little comment has been resolved, and look, more swooshy. It's got a bit blobby, but you get the idea. You're not working from these like string of emails where people are like, hey, you haven't done it, and you're like, have you checked your updates? Have you checked the latest email that I sent you with the cryptic subject line? Okay, we've all done that. We're just working from kind of one source of truth, let's call it. Okay, because your Photoshop document is saved in the cloud, this thing updates, and now we've got commenting. And it's in Illustrator as well, works the exact same way. Window comments, and we have the same interaction. All right, so those are the updates for Photoshop. If you are a little bit self-taught in Photoshop, you might check out my Photoshop Essentials course. And if you are reasonably good already and you want to go to the next level, check out Photoshop Advanced. That's all the things flashing on the screen here now. All right, but before you race off and sign up, I want to go through Adobe Illustrator. You know it's Adobe Illustrator time because of that. The little light, I thought it was a clever match of the software. You get it. Let's just get into the features then. All right. Okay, so Illustrator got the same update for commenting, okay, the share for commenting that we just did in Photoshop, so I won't cover it again, but same way you can share over here and then open up the commenting tab to see where your stakeholders have put the pins. The next feature, and probably the biggest upgrade for Illustrator this year, is 3D. So this is the sexy 3D goodness. The big things are, there are shadows, hooray! And it just works faster, there's loads of materials, ooh. It is super good. Let me jump in and show you how to make it. Okay, to make some sweet 3D wood goodness, I got some type here, go to effects and 3D. So this has been here for a little while. The classic version was just really basic and not very optimized for the system. It was very slow. Okay, so this new version, I'm gonna start with extrude and bevel. It is super fast and super nice. There's some nice UI controls that are actually on the desktop now. Okay, if that's not for you, you can under object, under extrude, which we've started with. Can you see down here? You can kind of be a bit more precise. Right there. Okay, so we're using extrude, but you can use the simple plane. Revolve will spin it around and do a bit of a crazy thing. That's a 360 revolution of my name. And inflate is, as you would imagine. Now, what's really amazing, the first thing I did and rushed off to do was like, extrude, yeah. Give me the lighting and turn on shadows. Where is it? Down the bottom here. Okay, so I don't know. This is the big thing. I was faking it. And basically, I just leave Illustrator to go to something else for my 3D goodness. But now, I've got shadows. Okay, and you got some really great control over them all. Let me jiggle this around. Okay, so we've got our shadows. The one kind of magic trick, if you are working with this, is that it's doing a really low resolution preview, is to turn on ray tracing to get a high quality one. It takes a while to render, but it'll give that beautiful kind of look. Oh, that's where the magic happens. Okay, it will slow down trying to render it. Okay, but oh, look at that shadow. But while you're working though, let's turn off ray tracing. And it's all still editable. And I want to show you kind of like the last upgrade. It is all the materials, and this is all dragged in from Adobe's acquisition of some new 3D software. It's kind of been re-released recently called, it's called Adobe Substance. It's their kind of 3D suite now. And the cool thing about it is we get to borrow all the materials without leaving Illustrator. Let's look at one. Oh, gotta need some wood. And the cool thing about it is look at the different parameters you get to change with. So the wood color, wood variation, the vein contrast, amount of knots. I want more knots in my wood, said no carpenter ever. Okay, the different kinds of, how many fibers. Look how much options you have. The varnish, what kind of varnish, roughness you have. Ooh, all built into Illustrator. And just remember to get the sweet looking version. I'll make it smaller. Move it there and just turn on ray tracing again. Kick back, relax, let the magic happen. Oh, fancy wood. All right, so big upgrade. Another thing that'll catch you out if you are teaching yourself, if the quality is very bad, okay, it's nothing to do with this 3D panel. When you are setting up a new document, you need to change the raster settings. So if you've got a document already, it's probably by default under File, where is it? Effects, there it is, Document Raster Effect Settings. You are probably set to 72, okay? Crank it up to 150, 300 DPI or PPI if you want, up to you. The higher everything gets, the slower the render's gonna take, but the better quality or finished quality is gonna be. Oh, look at that. I love me some 3D, especially with all the extra knots. All right. Okay, the next feature is an update to Select Same. Okay, in the previous version, which is this, okay, if I'm like, yeah, Comic Sans, oh, can it get better? I don't know. I'd like to select all the Comic Sans in this document and change it to something even nicer. You go, all right, I'm going to go select, same. You're like, I'm going to check, oh, there's no way of picking a font. Aha, that is what the new feature is. So in the new version of Illustrator, okay, I can decide that, yep, I need to change this font. Okay, I can go to select, same. You can see I've got all these extra options. I can say pick everything that is the same font family. You can see if I zoom out, there's quite a lot, okay, that is used in this document using that font. And you can say, all right, let's do it. Papyrus. Papyrus is bad. But you know what's worse? Papyrus condensed. Who thought they'd make a condensed version? So you're not allowed to use Papyrus unless, of course, you are making a map for kids.
I'm a kid?
Yes, you are. Come on over here. This is a kid. Why aren't you at school, kid?
Because I'm sick and I'm here to annoy Daddy.
Because he has a stomach bug and you don't send him to school, so he's got to hang out with Daddy while he's trying to record update video. Guess who's going to have a stomach bug in about 24 hours? All right, we've got to move on to the next Illustrator feature. Say goodbye to everyone. He's been here for a couple of days. He's been hiding. Go, next feature. All right, so he's got headphones on now and I'm parenting him with an iPad. Next feature is looking at connecting Photoshop and Illustrator. So I'll show you. So we're gonna file place a document. And what you can do now is you can actually import a Photoshop document from the cloud. Okay, so I've switched to the cloud options. I'm going to bring in this. I'm going to place it. Okay, and the nice thing about this is that I can bring it in. And there we go. Send it to the back. I'm going to make that with a mask. Okay, so I've got my Photoshop document linked from the cloud, which is handy. And what's really nice about it is if I've got to open in Photoshop, so I open this cloud document, I want to make the background a bit darker. If I save it here in Photoshop, or a colleague doesn't have to be me, somebody else that's working on this. What happens in Illustrator, because it's a linked file, I can go to my links. Okay, so window, links, you can see in there, it says there's an update available. So I'm gonna click on it and give it to me. Oh, nice. So you could always do it with regular old PSDs, but now you can do it with cloud documents, which you can see works across bigger distances between you or potentially other people working on separate files. Fancy. All right, next feature. All right, next small upgrade is Illustrator and these two file formats. So HEIF, okay, HEIF, no one calls it that, and WebP, okay, so Apple's kind of image file format and Google's web image file formats, kind of replacements for JPEGs, and they're gaining popularity more and more. And the old version of Illustrator, you went in, you tried to import them, and it said no. Not available. But now in the new version, we can actually start working with them natively rather than trying to, I don't know, find some way of converting them. There you go, a HEIF and a WebP. HEIF, that's not going to catch on. High efficiency image file format. Who names these things? WebP, marginally better. Anyway, new file formats, new-ish, now work inside of Illustrator. And like nearly all of the Adobe products, you can do my essentials and advanced courses if you want to. Link in the description. This is what the kind of stuff we make here that's whizzing across the screen. Illustrator is fun, essentials and advanced. All right, next. Can you tell by the color which is next? You got 3 seconds. InDesign. Is that a color? Let me look. More that color? More that color. Oh, hard to know. Anyway, InDesign, let's jump in. All right, the big upgrade for InDesign this year is the integration, more better name, of the capture functionality. If you've used the Adobe app called Adobe Capture, then you would have seen some of this tech, but it's cool now that it's built into InDesign. What I mean by this is this image here, okay, I can right click it and say, actually, can you extract from this image a bunch of different things? Let's do color themes. Okay, and look, it's pulled colors straight from the image. I've picked quite the colorful image that we made earlier, but look at this. Awesome. And what you can do is you can save it to your CC library, whichever one you've got open over here. It's given us the colorful options, but we can pick bright ones and we can pick muted ones. And you can see it's just picked 5 color swatches that work in kind of a great combination. Deep colors, Yeah, you can also decide that actually I like this, but I need to move it around. Okay, you can decide where it is there. You can copy them straight out of here. Okay, copy the hexadecimal code and use that. Okay, or add them to your library. And once I've got it from the library, I can use it. Look. Oh, it's beautiful. I had better plans for that, but hey, you can pull colors from images, which is awesome. You can also pull shapes from images. So the same thing again, right click, extract from image shapes, and it's made kind of a black and white version of it. It's going to make a vector graphic. I'm going to use the eraser tool to kind of tidy it up a little bit. How much detail I want? I want less. You can see how this would be potentially better for like a hand-drawn or kind of some sort of graphic that you're drawing with your hands. Let's save it to the library and see what we get. Okay, I'm going to close it down and look at this. I got a vector shape, okay, that I can start using. Look at that. Cool, huh? Let's have a look. Oh, Illustrator victory goodness without having to leave InDesign. It's actually using the power of that Capture app. If you haven't used the app, iPhone, Android, look for Adobe Capture. It does a lot of this stuff as well, and you're on mobile, so you can be taking photos and stuff. Ooh, fancy. All right, one of the probably more useful options other than pulling colors from it is, I'm gonna show you a different method of getting to that capture panel. So instead of right-clicking an image and going into here, you can actually have nothing selected, go to your CC libraries, go to the little plus button, and there he is there. He's new, he's been added to that, and we get to the same sort of place. Okay, and I can drag my image that I'm gonna use straight in here. Okay, so we can throw in our image directly, and I can say, I don't want the colors, I want the type. Tell me what it is, Mr. Font Picker. Okay, and I'm gonna pick this shape, and I'm gonna say find similar fonts. It's either gonna pick similar or exact, but you know what that font is. You've used it before, Cooper. There's a couple other recommendations in here. They're all pretty close, but that one's exactly. I'm gonna save it to my library. It's handy for not just photographs of fonts, but even work that you've maybe outlined so you don't have the font, or it's a logo from somebody else and you don't have all the kind of workings of it. But you can see in here now it's our character style. So I could say, bam, bump it up. Oh, lovely. All right, so that is the main big integration upgrade for InDesign. Let's look at a couple more. All right, the next is more of a change, and it's worth noting because in the past, okay, if you're an InDesign user, you'll know these guys are master pages, okay? But from now on, they are going to be called parent pages. So you will find the word master replaced with parent everywhere when referring to what you know as master pages. It's Adobe's effort to use more inclusive terminology. And the note I've got from Adobe is that they're an inclusive company and they won't use words that make people feel unwelcome and hurt. So that's why it's changed. You'll see it change through InDesign and anywhere else in the Adobe products. For me, Premiere Pro has a lot of master effects and master tracks. They'll all get changed. You might have already noticed in Premiere Pro, it is now source track instead of master track. So if you do notice any of those around and it used to be called master, that is why. Inclusive terminology. All right, next feature. And the last small update for InDesign is on a Mac, go to Preferences. So InDesign, Preferences, and go down to User Interface Scaling. On a PC, it's under Edit, Preferences, User Interface Scaling. Now it's kind of a small one, kind of a big one, depending on what different technology you're using or hardware you're using. You can change, can you see the interface from small to large icons? Okay, and this is, yeah, hey, if you need them to be bigger or smaller, you can do it in here. What used to be the problem is if you plugged in a monitor and while you were working, it would kind of just automatically guess the UI size. Now you can go and manually pick it because often it would be the wrong one. Or not often, sometimes. Okay, so that is it for InDesign upgrades. Like before, if you are new to InDesign, you might want to check out my InDesign Essentials course. And if you are already a user, you might want to check out my InDesign Advanced. Links in the description. All right, on to the next bit of software. All right, next software is Adobe Premiere Pro. Let's jump into the new features. All right, the first new feature for Premiere Pro is taking a messy old sequence like this. Things are locked, there's muted, there's empty tracks, everything's kind of scattered a little bit. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, tidiness. Okay, it's called Simplify Sequence. Let me show you how to do it. And just as an aside, this is a little video from my YouTube channel. This one here is where I go through how to design a logo. So click the card in the top right hand corner now, and you can check that out. It is a very popular one of my YouTube channel. It did really well. Me drawing, showing my process of designing a logo from start to finish. And yes, that happens at some stage. Anyway, let's look at the feature. So I've got a sequence down here. It's a regular old sequence, nothing too hardcore. Okay, but there is tracks where, I don't know, got away from me. This is up here. The only thing holding this track open is this one. And see down here, often I will have like music tracks where I'm trying to pick the music and I don't want that one, so it's muted. There's an empty track there. There's all sorts of junk going on. There's markers here that I don't need anymore. So simplify sequence is have your sequence selected, go to sequence and then simplify sequence. And you can turn a bunch of stuff on. Basically what it's going to do is going to create a new sequence that's important called -simplified. And you can decide, do I want to close the vertical gaps, which is basically these tracks here? Do I want to get rid of empty tracks? Why not? Let's turn off clips that I've disabled. Anything that's offline. Any labels? Okay, so any particular labels here that you've given it? Don't want that. Remove sequence markers. That's my little guys there. There's a bunch of different options. You can work out what works for you, but let's click OK. Ooh, look at that. So before, after. It's just a way of tidying it up for yourself, okay? But often it's great just when you're sending it to someone else to work on and you're like, here's my super professional sequence that I want you to work on. And you can see here, here's my super magic project file. Nothing's in bins, don't tell anyone. But at least I can quickly and easily simplify my sequence. Tidy it up, get ready for sharing with other collaborators. You can get to it as well as you can just right click the sequence that you want, right click and go to simplify sequence is in here somewhere. Where is it there? Okay, you just got to remember it's not tidying up the original, it's still there. Okay, it's created this other one called simplified. I've got two because I've already practiced this video and forgot to delete the old one. Anyway, a nice little upgrade for Premiere Pro. All right, the next upgrade is more of a back-end kind of improvements type upgrade, but the actual tool itself, okay, the kind of speech to text came out in an update recently and it kind of just flew under the radar of most people. So I bet you don't even know this exists and it's worth showing because A, it's got better in this version, but B, it is a fantastic upgrade to Premiere Pro. So it is transcribing and captioning. So basically I've got this bit of speech here. Creating your very first logo can be, okay, and I want it transcribed and I want it transcribed well. Okay, so I'm gonna select on this and hit the X key just to kind of set some in and out points because I don't want to do the whole thing. You can do the entire thing, it's a little bit long. Okay, so I'm going to say, with it selected, I'm going to actually go to my window workspaces and turn on, I'm gonna switch to the captioning workspace. Okay, and first of all, you can hit transcribe it. Okay, so it's going to turn it into text, which is, I don't know, fantastic on its own. Okay, so I can say transcribe in and out points only, just so it doesn't do the entire thing. You can mess with different settings, but let's have a little look. All right, it is done. Let's have a little look. Okay.
Now, creating your very first logo can be pretty overwhelming. I remember it well. When I got started, the kind of vastness of the internet.
Oh, it is good, man. Like I've only used it a little bit in the last few months, but it is good. Especially like I am not using like, I am not American, which is can be some, you know, initially some of these things are designed for the American market first. I've got lots of ums and ahs and my accent is easy enough to follow, but it's not perfect. Man, it is good every time I try it. So if you've ever experienced auto-generated captioning, transcribing before, it can be really bad. Okay, but this is being really good, as you can see. I didn't pick this in particular, it just works. Just pick one randomly. And that took probably, is less than a minute. I sped it up in this video, but I actually transcribed this whole 29-minute clip and it took about 12 minutes for it to process, which is pretty sweet. It gets better, right? So you can get this automatic transcribing done, which you can export, do what you want with, but I want to use it to generate captions, right? So you can just click on the generate captions. I'm not going to go through it all here, but you can, let's just click it, see what it does. It's created a captioning track for me, and let's have a little look. I haven't changed anything, let's have a look.
Now, creating your very first logo can be pretty overwhelming.
Look at it,
I
captioning.
remember it well.
I'll turn my audio off.
Started.
But look, captioning, automatically done, really good. You can add subtitles, all the other good. If you're thinking, oh, can it do that? It probably can. It does everything that I need to do. Anyway, so that's been upgraded in the 2022 feature. The back end, it's become better, okay, the back end stuff. But if you haven't seen the front end stuff, that is a pretty cool feature that came out a few months ago. Thank you, Premiere Pro. All right, another small but tasty upgrade is this is the old version of Premiere Pro. And if you are using scopes, okay, this vector scope in particular to do color grading, or like in this case, you can see my little color card here. So it is a little small and white. So what they've done is they've done this. They've made it colorful. Look at that. So you can kind of see the hints of the colors that are being kind of shown, especially when I've got my color card up. Where is it there? Okay, so you can see it moving around. Also, you can double click it. Look at that. And it zooms in real close, okay, which you couldn't do in the last version. So if you've got all the scopes up like I have, okay, you can kind of zoom in on that. That's the key area right there, right? The skin line and all those kind of color dots. All right, so YUV Vector Scope has got a couple of little upgrades in Premiere Pro. And if Premiere Pro is not your thing currently, and you're thinking, I want to get into that, check out my Premiere Pro Essentials course. And if you are kind of a hacker, you kind of use Premiere Pro a bit, you know enough to get by, you might want to check out my Premiere Pro Advanced course, where you'll actually work out what that vector scope was, what we did earlier on, and plus all the sweet features that might have escaped you. If you did your training a long time ago, like those transcription automatic stuff. There's lots of that sort of stuff in there. All right, that is it for Premiere Pro updates. Let's move on to the next one. All right, next up is the upgrades for After Effects 2022. Let me jump in and show you them. All right, so the first feature is something called multi-frame rendering. Basically a way of speeding up rendering, plus some other stuff I'll explain, but it's different from like the old render multiple frames simultaneously. That's a different technology. This one here, super fast. I've done some tests, and for my computer is being about 32% faster. So that's my basic testing. Definitely not scientific, but a huge jump in the render times between this version and the last version. Now, probably by the time this comes out, it'll be on by default. If it's not, just double check. Go to After Effects, Preferences, and go down to Memory and Performance. If you're on a PC, go to Edit, Preferences, Memory and Performance, and just turn on Enable Multi-Frame Rendering. Okay, so basically what happens is, when you add it to your render queue, and you hit render, it goes faster. Like this particular one here, I did 2 tests. So in the old version, it took a minute 55 seconds to render. And in this newer version, it took 1 minute 27. So a huge jump. And this is only a really short, like little intro thing. Okay, there's not a lot of going on, a bit of 3D, a bit of motion blur. Okay, but over larger jobs, man, this is going to be life-changing. Like not a creative tool, it's not a new effect or preset, okay, but it does allow for a lot more creativity when, things render a whole lot faster. And you're not worried about like, do I really want to do that? Because I don't have time for that to render. That rendering upgrade works both whether you're rendering in the queue here in After Effects or in Media Encoder, so it doesn't matter. Another cool upgrade for After Effects is this option, notify me when the queue completes. So let's give it a go, let's render it. All right, and let me show you on the big camera. Well, there you go. I got a notification on my phone. You need to have the Creative Cloud app installed on your phone. If you don't have it, it's free. You just sign in with your Adobe ID and password. And amongst other things it does, look, I got a little notification saying that my render queue's done. How cool is that? For those big long renders, or where you're going for a walk and you're like, I'll come back when it's finished. Or that freedom, that sense of achievement when you wake up in the morning and your renders have all gone through and completed nicely without any errors. Thank you, notifications, and thank you for the new upgrade, Adobe. All right, the last but not least update for After Effects is something called Speculative Preview. Let's open up an indent. Okay, make sure it's on full. Let's have a little look at it. So we all know that little green box there is our little kind of cached preview. Okay, and if I hit spacebar, it's gonna chug its way through it all. Okay, and we all know that like when we're going for a break, you know, going to the toilet, get a cup of tea, okay, we really want to remember to hit spacebar or our like little preview, just that when we come back, we've got a full, beautiful preview. But now, speculative preview will do it automatically, so you don't have to remember or get annoyed that you forgot. Okay, so what you can do, watch this. I'm going to move it there where there's no renders being, or no previews made, and let's just wait. Do nothing. It's the do nothing upgrade. Watch it. Watch it. Look at it go. It does it without asking. Speculative preview makes sense now. Okay, so basically, yeah, whenever you just leave Premiere Pro alone, yeah, go and do something, forget about it, go check your emails, it's going to go and start caching all these previews for you so that when you come back, it'll start playing super smoothly. Okay, so to make sure it's on, or at least turn it off if you don't want it, kind of using the system resources, okay, you can go to Composition and under Preview. There it is there, Cache Frames When Idle. This name might change. I know they're calling it Speculative Preview at the moment, but hey, that's it there. You can turn it on and off. You can get a bit fancier with it if you go to your After Effects preferences and go to Preview. There it is there. On a PC, remember it's under Edit, Preferences, Preview, and you can see it down here, Cache Frames When Idle. You can decide how long it takes, okay, and yeah, what frames it caches and the work, whether it's the whole duration, just the work area, up to you. But I love it. Like, look at that. I was doing nothing and it was caching in the background. Yeah. All right. So that is the last of the features for After Effects. And that's it. Last sales pitch. If you want to do After Effects, check out my infographics course or my motion graphics in After Effects course. These are the stuff we make here. That is a pretty exciting course. But for now, let's jump out to the camera. All right, your job right now is to think back over all the new updates, okay? And you got to pick just one that is either blown your mind or you know you're gonna love and use, and let me know that one in the comments, okay? And I'll add up all the tallies maybe a week after this course and post it on social media to see which is the best amongst you, my friendly designers. Speaking of social media, these are the things you can follow me on. Can't really hear me over there, but there. All of these are my social medias. Join me and follow me. That's what you do on YouTube videos. Follow me on social media. The other thing you do is like and subscribe. So if you enjoyed the work that went into this video, a lot of prep, but if you enjoyed it, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel for lots of other stuff like this. Also, if you want to go a bit further with your knowledge of Adobe software, check out my courses. This video was sponsored by myself and my courses. Probably a few too many sales pitches in this one, but it's done now. But if you do enjoy my style of training and want to go either get started in a bit of software or go a bit further, check out my essential and advanced courses on bringyourownlaptop.com. Okay, there'll be a card up here or links in the description for those. And lastly, I'd like to thank Cahill for his help with the drone footage at the beginning, okay, of the intro there. Okay, so that was kind of fun to shoot. Thank you, Cahill. And we're gonna have to probably have a little moment of silence for the drone. Ready? Probably long enough. Poor little drone now, I think, is swimming with the fishes in the Atlantic somewhere. I think a strong headwind got him. So rest in peace, little drone. And to everybody watching, that is it. 2022 updates for Adobe are done for another year. Subscribe. We'll do it again next year amongst lots of other things on the channel, and I'll see you in one of those soon. And you know how secretive the GDCP are? The GCDE. What a bad acronym. Cut.